Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be looking at some view hotkeys. But before we do that, I thought it would be nice to have a little bit of a visual aid here to help us with this process, and we haven't done anything like this yet, so it might be kind of fun. What I want to do is I want to move this around and I want to go specifically to this face, but why not this face or this face? What's the difference? Well, remember that this right here, the green one is our y-axis, the red is our x, and the blue is the z. I also specifically want this side right here because this is y positive. How do I know this? Well, if you look up here at our little compass gizmo axis system, we see that y is sticking out in this direction. So that means it's the positive y, and anything over on this side is negative y. Positive x, back there is negative x, and so on. So I want to pick this face, and I want to do something. I want to do something fun just for the sake of, and again, it's going to help us to understand what I'm about to show you a little bit better. So let's play around. So first I'm going to pick my cube here, and then I'm going to tab into edit mode, and how about we do an inset? So now notice, just habitually before I hit I quickly move my mouse out to the side here. Why? Well, because it gives me more room to pull this in. So I'm going to bring this in, and that's good. I'll click, and then I'm going to hit E, and that's going to extrude it out so far. Now, I want to scale this, but if I scale it now, I'm going to get the whole thing like this, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to hit E, and I'm going to kind of bring it out, except I'm not. I'm going to hit S, and I'm going to scale it. This is an interesting thing. So it's kind of like a two-in-one combo, but it's actually not. What I did after I hit E to extrude, when I didn't pull it out any, it left another face on top of the other face. If you recall, if you remember this somewhere in the future, it could be helpful to you, because if you extrude something and then you go, no, that's not what I want, and you cancel it, you probably very likely are going to end up with an extra face on top of a face, and it might cause you problems. In this case, I'm using it to our benefit. So I can scale this out now, click, extrude, click, scale. I can't really move my mouse out too much here, but scale it down. So now we've got ourselves a nice little arrow, you see? This is going to be our Y positive arrow. So let's go ahead and we'll do it over on this side. Now notice, you see right here, I'm clicking on this face. You see how it's kind of awkward to move around? Well, that's because if you're following along with me, I have the rotate around selection on. So if you want, come over here and pick this face, and that probably will suffice. I'm in face mode, so that's all you get. If you happen to be in vertex mode or point mode, then pick a point. So we pick this one right here, and we notice that is the wrong side. So I'm going to move this around, and you notice there's the X positive right there. So do the same thing. Inset, bring it down a bit. How about we make this one extra small? Click, bring it out, click. Scooch this off the screen a little bit, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and move it out further, but I don't want to extrude it. So how do I do this? I want to bring it out further. I made a little bit of a mistake, and I want to scooch it out. Well, I'm going to hit G, and that brings it all over, but then I hit X, and I can bring it out on the X-axis. Now I'll go ahead and do the same thing over here. E, but don't bring it out. Just hit S, and then I can bring this out a little bit like this. Click, extrude, click, S, to scale it down and make yourself a little point. Now let's do the Z. So we'll go over here onto the top face here, and we'll inset it again, and then bring that up, and then we'll extrude it again, but then just hit scale, bring it down a little bit, click, scale it in. Okay, so now we've got our three axes set up in the right direction. So this is our Y positive, this is our X positive, and this is our Z positive. So now we can get to business. What I want to show you is the various hotkeys that we have for our different types of views. And the reason why this is important, this is not just an arbitrary passing video on, hey, did you know I can do some hotkeys to move things around in certain views. It is not just for that. It's because the way that Blender works in programs like this is if, for example, I'm in vertex mode right now and I want to pick one of these points, I'm going to grab this point right there, you see? And I'm going to G, grab, right? And I'm going to stretch it out over here. Well, where did it go? Did it go on the X? Did it go on the Y? Did it go on the Z? Well, none of all of the above. It moved parallel, if you will, to our screen right now, to our viewport. So if I move this around, it's not really on any of them. It just went to the screen. So here, I'll do it again, but I'll do it from this angle. So I'll grab that and I'll move it over here. And you see? And then I can grab this one right there and move that one out like so. And so this is, that's not good. This is a little bit strange, but you get used to it because it is what it is. This is a lot more of a kind of sculpting. Of course, this is not the sculpting area, but it's free form. Now, knowing that it works this way, if I did want to move this point out or this face out or an edge out perfectly on plane with this face right here, I need to have a way to look straight down it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a certain hotkey. And I've got over here on the side, I've got 1 and I've got 3. So if I hit 1, look where I am. I'm right down the back side of this right here, looking right at that. So now, if I zoom in a little bit here, by the way, don't forget Control. Hey, you know what? I do not have my silly little mouse keys on here, so let's turn those on. There we go. Hold down Control, hold down middle mouse, and just shove the whole mouse forward and backwards on the table, not the wheel, just the whole mouse, and it's a lot smoother. And also I have zoom to point on. That was in the preferences. So wherever I put the mouse, that's where it's going to zoom to. So keep that in mind. That's helpful. So now that I am flat, by the way, if you nudge a little bit, oopsie, we'll hit 1 again and you're back. So now if I grab that point right there and I move it out, and then I grab this one over here, remember you don't have to get right on it, you just got to get fairly close to it, and then you can bring it out, and the same one over here, bring that out over there. All of these are still on plane. So if I move this out, remember I'm in vertex mode, so it's going to rotate around there. If you want, you can hit face mode to pick that, and now it'll rotate a little bit better. But all of this right here is nice and flat. Nothing got moved off of that original plane, you see? So this is at least the first beginning idea on why these view planes are very important to us. On your number pad key, the ones over on the right, you're going to hit 7, 9, 1, and 3. Those are your main ones right there. So 7 is looking down from the top. So look at this right here. This one is our Y positive. This is our X positive. This one here with the bumpy bits on the top, we know that we're looking from Z from the top down, not from the bottom up. So then if I were to hit 9, now I am looking from the bottom up. By the way, let me show you this. If you happen to see this, see I'm picking that point here, and I go ahead and I flip it around. Do you see how it kind of moves around on the screen there? It rotates even in our hotkey views based upon what point you're selecting. So if you're struggling with that and it seems to be jumping off the screen, pick something in the center here. You know, you could pick your origin here, or you could just pick a face or something, and then it's going to rotate more or less the right way, okay? Now, move this off like this, just so you can see that it's there. I'm going to hit number 1. So we did 7 and 9, and now 1 and 3. So 1 looks down Y. So we're going from the negative side of the Y to the positive side of the Y over here. So I hit 3, and you would be expecting it to flip around like 7 and 9 did, but what it does actually is it just moves 90 degrees over. And so now we're looking down the X positive axis. So I've got 1 and 3. I just hit number pad 3. And what if I do want to get onto the other side? You know, I just want to flip it around to like, oh, the other side there. Look at my hotkeys. So number pad 3, looking straight down, I'm over on the positive X side. I hold down Control, and then I hit number 3, and I go to the back side. Don't hit it again. It's not a toggle. You let go, and you just hit 3, and it goes back there. Control to the other side, 3 goes back here. Here's 1 on the negative side of the Y. Hold down Control, and now I'm on the other side, you see? So those are the main ones. And then you're going to look down here and go, but wait, we've got a lot of numbers left. We do. Those are the main ones, though, because if I am looking down the Y right now, and let's say let's go for 4 and 6. If I hit 6, tick, 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 tick. It's just moving slowly around that axis. And then the same with 8 and 2. might be handy for certain circumstances. I don't think it's very useful for anything I do. The positive and the negative, the plus and the minus here, zoom in and out. And I guess if you didn't have a mouse, that would be pretty bad. But, you know, and you happen to have a keyboard, you could zoom in and out. The ones, though, that I think are very important are going to be the period key and the /, the divide symbol. So here, let's do this. Let's, where'd my part go? Hit the /. Hit the /. All 3D programs have something like this. You lose your part out in the middle of nowhere. You did a whoop-de-woo and you turned around. Oh my God, I lost everything. What do I do? Well, it brought it back, but it got a little bit wacko. I had to hit it again. So then watch this. So if I were to pick this point right there, and then I hit the period key on the numpad, what it'll do is it'll zoom right in to that point that I'm looking at. Now, this could be very helpful if you think of this in conjunction with the fact that I have rotate around selection on. So now I could rotate right around that point, and it's very, very nice. Now, I also want to point out that you notice that there's kind of this adaptive speed scroll going on here, and sometimes you end up really like kind of inside a part, or really kind of messed up inside there somewhere, and the scroll is just super slow and you're like, what the hell is going on? If you remember, just pick the / and then hit it again, and then you'll be back out and the speed will be normal again. Okay, so then let's say I want to roll this around here and I want to show somebody something on the back side, or I need to get around the back there to do something. What I could do, knowing what we have right now, and I'll put it into point mode. I'll hit the period key on the number pad. I can roll it around, and now I can get right to where I want. So then the 5 and the 0 are the last two to talk about. So if you hit number 5, right now it's going to be kind of strange. I hit 5 and it goes back and forth, and it kind of looks like it's going kind of weirdo on us. What you're doing is you're bouncing in and out of orthographic view and perspective view right here. So it's the same as hitting this. So what the good is this? Why do we care about this? Well, you may or may not, and probably not, because we actually have a thing that automatically does it when it matters. What the hell am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about 7, 9, 1, 3. Right now, we are in orthographic view, because this view would look strange if it was in perspective. This right here is not tipped. We're looking straight down it, but it doesn't look right because it's in perspective view. Just the same, if I rotate this around and I'm in perspective view and I change it to orthographic, that doesn't look right to us because we're used to seeing objects in real life with some depth and some perspective to them. You see, this right here should be smaller than this face up here, but it is not. The point, if it's not clear, when you are looking straight down on it, or you're one of these view styles here, I want to see it head on without any perspective distortion so I could model more correctly. So play with it. It will become super apparent, if it's not already, that is the right way to be. Now, that happens automatically when you bounce in and out of these different view styles. It is a setting in preferences that you could turn off if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to do that. So that's what the 5 key is for. The 0 key is for the camera, and that is used all the time because when I want to go render my object, I want to see what the camera sees. I can leave this, we haven't really talked about this yet, but I can move the camera around, I can send it places, I can spin it around and animate it, do a lot of stuff, but at any point in time, I want to be able to look through the camera and see what I will be rendering. If this was the scene, this would not look right. So I need to zoom out a little bit. By the way, a little bit of a forward of things to come, I could go here to view and I could lock the camera to this view. So if it is not on and I move around, or here, let's do that again, 0, and I scroll in and out, I'm just scrolling in and out of the world. But if I locked that on, now I scroll in and out, the parts getting smaller? No, the camera is getting further away. This is where the control trick that I've been telling you, control and middle mouse, becomes very helpful, because one click is probably not exactly where the art of your scene wants to place this. So you can just sort of nudge it, hold down shift, get it right over there. I would highly recommend When you're done with this and you've got it where you want, uncheck that, or you're going to get some mighty pissed off later when you go, okay, cool, I'm just going to move this around and get, uh-oh, what happened? Ah, piss. I just moved my beautiful scene, and I've rendered it 16 times. It's taken me 3 hours to get all the different renders. I loved it right where it was at, and now I'm all screwed up, right? So I would say that once you get this right where you want it to be and you're happy with, the art of it, uncheck it so you don't accidentally nudge the thing around, all right? So let's review. Let's get rid of that screen. 7 from the top view, 9 from underneath here. 1 looks down the negative side of the y-axis, and 3 will look down the positive side of the x. 7, 9, 1, 3. If I want to nudge it around, I can nudge it with the 4, 6, 8, and 2. Said we don't really use those so much. The / will get us into an isometric view and all in the scene. So if you lose it, as you notice what I was doing a couple times here, it sort of sends it away and brings it back. Yeah, might have to hit it a couple times. The period key on here, if you click an object, that zooms in right to that object as well. If you hit it again, it does not get you out of there. You might have to fight your way out of this or hit the / like we talked about, okay? That's really it. So use these. Learn to use these a lot. They are going to be very helpful for you. It is a bit of a struggle to get used to it in the beginning because you're going to go, it's okay, I'll just rotate this around and it'll be fine. Well, get used to these.